All right, Andrew, hit us with that Sift Spoil theme song for the week.
And the Drax in the cradle with Gamora too. Baby Groot and a Rocket Raccoon. When you coming home, Dad, I don't know when, but we'll have a battle then where I'll turn into Pac-Man.
Nice!
Yeah.
Very well done.
Yes.
Very well done. Welcome to the post-pod Sift Spoil, where the theme song is different every single week because at least one thing should remain unspoiled. Make sure you listen to the podcast first before you listen to this, because, first of all, we're going to be spoiling it, the movie, so we'd highly recommend that you see the movie first. Also, we're going to be jumping around and stuff, so it may not make a lot of sense if you haven't seen the movie before you listen to this. Speaking of jumping around, let's just dive into it. What are some of the things, maybe stuff you mentioned in the podcast that you wanted to talk further on, different points you wanted to make that needed spoilers? Andrew, you look like you've got something on your mind.
Well, we were talking about where we had different opinions. You loved a particular thing that me and I can't remember if Chris did not like.
I think Chris said he thought it was a good example of the humor, which was the playing catch scene. Is that what you were talking about?
Dumbest scene in any Marvel movie ever. So,
what do you think made it dumb for you?
It was so ridiculous. I mean, it's supposed to be this heartfelt moment, and I just couldn't help but think, could they have thought of anything more cheesy than playing catch with a ball of energy? And I can't. It's hard to express whenever something's so dumb, you can't express it logically or explain it logically.
But don't you think that was the point? Like, the point was that it was cheesy. Like, and the movie itself was undercutting it too, knowing that, eventually we'd find out he's not a good father. So, it's kind of like the everything he ever wanted, but, kind of thing.
So you don't read any of the comic books and you don't watch any trailers.
Correct.
Whenever Kurt Russell was introduced as his dad, did you know he was going to be the villain?
Yes.
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the movie tries to hide that. Am I wrong about that, Chris? I felt like that was pretty
obvious.
obvious.
I mean, that was the thing that I was sitting there going, come on. I mean, we're 2/3 through this movie and they haven't revealed this yet. Come on, just go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
They kind of touched on.
I actually like the catching ball scene. I think they could have done it a little less ham-handedly. Like, I mean, it was so obvious that's what they were going for before they even started throwing it around.
Yeah.
That, I was like, oh, here they go. They're going to start throwing it. It's going to be playing catch with Dad, and that's going to be funny. Ha ha ha. And I liked it. You're right. You're right, Aaron. I think it is definitely on purpose. It's supposed to be what it is, but. I think they could have maybe have done that a little bit subtler in a way, where you didn't know that that's what they were doing until they sort of, maybe moved the camera back and they're playing catch. That's funny, that type of thing. But in this one, it's like it's immediately obvious that's what they're going to do with it.
Yeah, and I think the humor in general, I'll talk about a couple other things I mentioned and be a little more specific. For instance, when I was talking about the subversion of a lot of that stuff, you mentioned Pac-Man in the opening song. That's a moment in that final hero battle where, you think it's just two, guys punching each other where all of a sudden one of them is Pac-Man, and so they find a way to subvert those kind of things. The other was the big hero shot where, all of them are together back to back, that they've done pretty much since the Avengers. They've got one moment like that, in their movies. And at the end of it, something hits is it the antenna girl?
Mantis?
Yeah, Mantis. Like something just comes out of her head and just like clocks her.
And the best part though there is Dave Bautista going, "Watch out!" after it's hit her.
I think I laughed more at that part than any other part in the movie.
Oh man, Dave Bautista. We mentioned it in the regular podcast. He stole this. Like,
it's his movie.
It's the character is so good. Like, just to have somebody, all that stuff about her being ugly was hilarious. Even all the way down to the last moment where he's like, "You are beautiful on the inside." Like, all of it was so good. Yeah, I really enjoyed the humor in this movie for sure.
There was one emotional, like, serious moment in this movie that really worked for me.
Oh, tell me which one.
And it was actually a Drax Mantis moment, wherever he's talking about how he took his daughter to this lake, and Drax really doesn't show emotion, so whenever she touched him and she started crying, like, we were actually seeing vicariously through Mantis how Drax feels.
Truly feels, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, that is a moment right there.
Yeah.
I love that part.
Great scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
But just those two, that's a great character duo right there. It's just those two.
Mantis and Drax.
Mantis and
Drax.
Drax.
They worked well together.
Yeah.
Well, and that's what I was sitting there thinking this could, I mean, you wouldn't pay to see this movie. I mean, like, if it was called Guardians of the Galaxy 2 and it was just these two the whole time. But I was sitting there thinking this could be the whole movie. I mean, I would be fine with it. Because everything that they do is just well played off of each other.
I also was really surprised by how, I'll mention some of the other emotional moments that got me, and we'll just kind of go that direction. Again, the overall theme of this was family and about how people care. You know, there were several moments where they mentioned, like, how you guys don't even like each other. You yell at each other. And it's like, well, it's because we're not friends. We're family. And that made a lot of sense to me. Like, the family are the people you, like, scream at and you truly love. You know what I mean? Like, there's something interesting about that. And the stuff, one of the things that really shocked me emotion-wise was the Rocket and, what's the...
Quill?
No.
Yondu?
Yondu.
Ooh,
the Rocket and
Yondu
one. Stuff
that was a good one.
Really got to me when Yondu was comparing himself to, he's like, I know you because I am you. I push people away because I don't ever want to admit that, I'm scared that maybe I can't be loved, that kind of thing. And the Yondu Quill stuff was emotional for me. Like, I was like, oh, the idea of, Yondu actually was his father. Another cheesy moment that actually worked for me was the line, he may have been your father, but, he wasn't your daddy.
Yeah.
That I get that that's cheesy, but, like, I'm a cheesy guy sometimes. Like, that kind of stuff works for me.
But I thought that scene in particular was ruined by the funeral where he kept saying David Hasselhoff over and over again. Like, how he kept comparing Yondu to David Hasselhoff. I'm like, you're ruining it.
And again, this is where we differ.
Yeah.
That's the perfect example of what I think this movie does that's so hard to do, is that it is ridiculous in the moments where it's also emotional. And I think it is almost one of the calling cards of this franchise, is the idea that we are never going to stop being goofy, even when we're trying to make you feel something.
And another one that really didn't work for me is whenever he's finally about to kill Egos. He says, "You killed my mom, and you broke my Walkman."
Right? Yeah.
Forget the Walkman. You just found out.
But that's why it's funny.
No, it didn't work for me. It really didn't work for me.
It worked for me.
Oh,
I think it worked for a lot of the audience too. There was a big laugh line.
Yeah, I know, but
just
because an audience. Go ahead.
That type of thing wasn't my. When we were talking earlier, like, that wasn't my biggest. I like the humor that comes after the dramatic moments. I understand what you're saying. There's probably could have toned it down a little bit on a couple of moments. And here we are once again. We have yet another movie where somebody's mom dies, and they get, they want to get revenge on the person who did it.
What did you say?
And everything. I mean, it's just, it's yet again. It's going to be like the thing in every Marvel movie now, or every comic book movie now.
Well, since Disney owns Marvel movies, they're throwing that whole thing
all the way back to Finding Nemo.
Yeah. No, all the way back to Land Before Time.
There you go.
Yeah.
But there was a big moment too where Nebula is going through her big thing about, like, how she's going to go murder her sister and then she's going to go kill her dad and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
You can feel that one leading up to a joke, because that's what's his name? It's actually James Gunn's brother. Sean Gunn plays is it Kraglin? Or whatever is behind him. Okay, well then, I'm just gonna go back here now, because she goes through that really intense thing. Cameras up on close on her and everything, and she's like, "I'm murdering this person and I'm murdering that."
I found his stuff really affecting his relationship with Yondu.
Yeah,
I found some of that stuff really. I thought he gave a great performance. I felt like a lot of the
Sly Stallone.
Well, we can talk about Sly if you want. I wouldn't say I found that affecting. Although I didn't actually, his cameo I didn't mind quite as much. The Hasselhoff cameo I didn't like. The Stan Lee cameo I didn't like.
Hasselhoff was so.
Yeah, I just didn't, because it didn't make any sense for the character. Like, I just don't think Ego. Like, where did he pull that from? Why would he know that? Why would that give him an advantage in that situation? Like, I don't know. I didn't like the Hasselhoff cameo, but I didn't mind the Stallone stuff. I thought he was fine.
Well, Stallone and that Ravager group is going to be a pretty significant part in Guardians 3, I think. Did you notice? Okay, so at the very end, there's the Ravagers, and like there's the different ones, and then there's a helmet, just a talking helmet.
Yeah.
That's Miley Cyrus.
Is it?
Is the talking helmet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I knew that all those characters, like even the ones that were CGI, had to have been somebody. I just didn't know who they were. There was another one too. It was like a robot or something, right?
Yeah.
Or was that? I can't remember what it was, but yeah. I mean, if you have Ving Rhames and you have Michelle Yeoh, everybody else is going to be.
At first, I was like, it took me a second to realize, oh, wait, no, Michael Clark Duncan's passed away because giant guy. I was like, oh, wait, no, that's Ving Rhames' face. They just put him on
Ving Rhames
giant...
does look a little bit bigger than he usually does in that movie, for sure. He looks a little bit puffed up.
It reminded me of the end of an Anchorman movie, where it's all of a sudden all these other famous people are in like their different bands or groups or whatever.
One thing I did want to bring up, now did the Kurt Russell thing at the beginning give you Starman vibes?
Yeah. I'll say this
Jeff
about
Bridges.
Go ahead.
I mean, Jeff Bridges was in Starman, but I feel like even at the like when you see they CGI'd younger Kurt Russell into it or whatever. I got some Jeff Bridges vibes, and it's funny. John Carpenter did Starman, and you almost have to think that Kurt Russell was going to possibly be Starman after the movies that Carpenter and Russell did together in that time period. So it was kind of interesting that I got that kind of vibe right off the bat, but I don't know if that was intentional or not.
I'll say this. Marvel, I don't know how they do it, but whenever they CGI a younger face onto somebody,
it works.
It's not Uncanny Valley. It looks so real. It's
that was
creepy.
that was a young Kurt Russell.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that was because I would think in IMAX laser it would be even more obvious if it didn't look right.
It looked perfect.
It looked perfect to me. Yeah.
How did it look for you, Chris? You said you didn't.
It looked good. Laser. I think it looked good. I do think that they sort of trick you out a little bit because they don't show him too much.
They're smart.
If they did, he would have probably seen a lot of the seams and all of that. But he's wearing sunglasses, he's got his head turned, all that type of thing. But it's so obviously him. But it's not. It never once did I sit there and go, "Well, that's like really weird, like Grand Moff Tarkin or something like that." It wasn't. It didn't give me that kind of feel.
One of the, I guess you could call it one of the CinemaSins moments for me is him choosing a human form, and then especially when he's going back and showing how he went to different planets.
And he's always a human.
He was always a human. I'm like, why wouldn't you transform into other people?
Right.
It was just so weird to me. I was like...
And I like how, or I don't understand how he says he chose a physical form on what he thought life looked like, and it was automatically a human. And he put clothes on, and I'm like, this is not making sense.
You know what? I think it's possible that they wanted to have that one visual gag of him with all those different creatures and like all the ones that he particularly fell in love with and everything. Because if you change that Kurt Russell in his red vest type of look that they had or whatever, and he's just an alien, I mean, he could still have done it by still putting the vest on.
That's what I was thinking.
So that it was him. But I think that's why they wanted that. They wanted to have that visual gag of Kurt Russell essentially with all these aliens. It's basically because he shows that big thing that looks like an orgy almost by the time it's by the time it's complete. But I think that's the reason why they did that. But yeah, they could have done that a little bit. Why did you look human the entire time? They could have done something with that. You're right.
I think the opening Baby Groot stuff is some of the most adorable and fun stuff I've ever seen. Like the idea of shooting the beginning of that action scene all in the background out of focus and just watching Baby Groot dance, I thought that was really clever.
I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel so bad for every single name that came up during that opening credit scene. Did you look at a single name?
No, man, you can't take your eyes off Baby Groot.
Yeah, why even bother having names? You're not even going to notice them. You're going to be looking at Baby Groot, and you're going to be looking at the fight in the background.
Yeah.
Which was so fun. That is a great way to start a movie. It was perfect.
Yeah.
That's that sort of that Joss Whedon-esque type of thing, because like Buffy the Vampire Slayer had that one episode where they just followed Xander around, and like there's all this crazy stuff happening in the background, and it's not, that's what would normally be the main story, but they follow him, and it's just, it's all it is just his, banal life basically while all this other crazy stuff goes on. I really did like that opening. I like that was the one part though, just before it got into that though, where they had all the talk, the dialogue and everything. That was the one moment where I thought they were being a bit too self-aware. Like, oh, is that the sword? I thought the sword was your thing, and all that type, of dialogue. Whereas, they're just kind of like, let's introduce the characters real quickly in a stilted manner. We're getting to this Baby Groot thing anyway, so don't worry about it. So that was the only thing about that scene that came off a little false to me. But I did like the dancing and everything.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How strong is Gamora?
Apparently really strong.
She picked up
extremely
a gun that was on the side of a spaceship.
Well, she also held Drax hanging outside of the spaceship while it was moving.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, she is, strong.
Yeah, okay. Because I don't think that was ever explained. And
Also, I don't understand why you wouldn't just let Drax fall to the... I mean, he's not going to hit the Earth with any more impact than he's bouncing off those trees. Like, you might as well just let him fall and roll.
That part was really funny, how happy he was as he was getting whipped around
Pinballed.
and hitting... he was hitting every single tree on the way into that landing.
Dude.
Or crash.
So funny. So good, so good. I also really loved, one scene we haven't mentioned that I really loved was the Rocket Raccoon ambush of, the entire... Raider party or whatever. I thought that was really fun.
Oh, yeah. That was fantastic.
My favorite scene in the movie, I guess my favorite scene in the movie is whenever Baby Groot keeps bringing back the wrong thing to try and get Yondu and Rex. But right after that is another amazing scene where he finally gets the fin on, and it's just the arrow going around. It was so beautiful watching just that light flicker around everywhere, and then Rocket shooting as well. That was a fun scene.
Kind of has like a drone shot above, like that was pretty cool.
Yeah. That whole Taserface thing was so dumb, though.
Taserface?
Taserface was so dumb.
That's funny. I did mention that the action was something I didn't like, but there are a couple of great humorous action scenes that do really well in this. I was more thinking about the finale more than anything because that's when they start just punching each other and everything. But yeah, that arrow scene was great, and the rocket thing was awesome as well. I thought that was really well done.
There also was something really. This movie did a thing where it really made you feel for these characters in moments. Some of the Baby Groot stuff was really interesting because there, like the moment where she's convincing him to let her go. And he's still a child, and you're just kind of feeling like. And there's a moment where he's taking the device to blow up the Earth core, and everything is crashing down, and he's getting squished, and he cried like a baby. Did you hear him cry? Yeah. I was like, oh my goodness, like that, like pierced my heart. There were some moments interesting like that, or when there was a moment, I forget who insulted him, but somebody said an insult to Rocket Raccoon that really hit him too. Like it was like.
I think it was Drax.
Was it?
Yeah.
I don't know. There were just moments where it was like they really made you feel for these characters in a pretty real way. So. And
then he turns into Teen Groot at the end.
Yeah. What did you think about that? What did you think about the 5 different end credit scenes?
Yeah. So we had the Adam Warlock one, which is setting up Guardians.
I have no idea what that's about. So.
Yeah, Adam. He's the Sovereign's like epitome. Yeah, it's this whole thing. Adam Warlock's actually kind of a cool character. And then. I don't know if they're going to be setting up a Ravengers movie, with like with the Sly and then the Ving Rhames and the Miley Cyrus and all the others. Mm-hmm. Would you watch that movie?
I'd watch any Marvel movie at this point. I love them. So.
I actually, the more I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? I know it's just pretty much Guardians of the Galaxy, just maybe a little bit more serious, but I'd give that one a watch. It might be fun.
Yeah.
But, and then there was the Stan Lee one and...
Pointless.
They were all pointless. Besides maybe the Adam Warlock one and...
well, Teenage Groot makes you know, okay, we're going to move. He's growing up.
Yeah.
So are they going to do, like, grown Groot in the next movie? Like, are we going, time has passed, like...
I think we'll be back to regular Groot. That's what I'm thinking.
Man, I think they're going to do Teen Groot because didn't they, at the end of the first one, just show Baby Groot? So isn't that sort of the tease?
Could be. Yeah, I guess you could be right.
I don't know. I want regular Groot back. You know, get Vin Diesel, which I don't know how they probably just fixed his voice, but the fact
how much do you think he gets paid to say I am Groot 12 different ways?
Well, actually, he says it in every single language. Did you know that? For every like a foreign language like dubbing.
Well, then he's totally worth millions of dollars if he says it in every language.
He really does. They pay him because he does it in Italian, Spanish, Japanese. He does them in all.
It's a good gig, man. That's a good gig.
But what was there was one thing I did want to mention.
Well, we haven't talked about the Sovereign at all, and I know you mentioned you had a real problem with that race, like you found them super annoying.
It was a combination of, they're supposed to be these highly advanced, beings, yet they keep doing slapstick comedy, and all the sound effects for their area are 8-bit Nintendo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Is what it was.
Well, I did like the Sovereign and how they go about fighting in these aerial battles, because it's always, to me, it's like, if you're in the future, why not? Why haven't you figured this out yet, where you can simulate being in a ship, like at a command base, and not really actually, risk your life doing it. You're just risking, metal at that point, and I really liked that it turned out to be almost like an Ender's Game type of thing.
Yeah.
For them.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked that too. I also liked I thought the credits, aside from the post-credit scenes, I thought they were actually fun credits to watch. Like, there were like characters in them, and the I am Groot would pop up in in the words and then change to the actual credit. And
yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was interesting and fun. So
I was surprised there wasn't a post-credit scene that tied into any of the other movies, like maybe Thor Ragnarok. That's the next one, isn't it?
Yeah, but are Guardians going to be in the Thor movie?
Have you? Oh, yeah. I guess you haven't seen the trailers.
No, I know nothing.
Okay, yeah, then I won't say anything.
Okay.
So,
I mean, I think I've heard wind that Guardians are going to take place and they'll be a part of the next Avengers movie.
They are, yeah.
But I didn't know how they were going to play into other movies.
I don't think these end credit scenes serve to go to the next movie anymore like they used to, but now I think it's pretty much just whatever they want to do. I mean, Doctor Strange had one small one immediately after the main movie, but then like the one towards the end was just more Doctor Strange stuff.
So the Chiwetel Ejiofor one where he's just like, no more sorcerers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was all that was at the end of Doctor Strange. I mean, there was a Thor moment at the end of it, but it was like after they did the main credits or whatever, they put them on, and it's like a discussion about, I guess to see if Doctor Strange is going to help them out in the next, the Infinity Wars or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did the Zune joke work for you guys?
Yes.
Yeah, it worked. It worked for me.
I thought so too.
300 songs.
Well, and to see his reaction, his only memory goes back to 1988, so
yeah.
That would seem amazing to somebody.
Yeah.
A Zune, so that's what's so funny to me.
It's what everybody on Earth is listening to now.
Right, yeah. I remember one guy I knew had a Zune. One guy.
Did you ever have a Zune?
No, I never had a Zune.
So you only knew one person, Chris?
Only one, yeah. And he would swear by it, man. He was like, man, this is awesome and such and so forth. And I was like, well, okay, it might be awesome. I don't know. It doesn't seem to have the kind of support that others do. And yeah. So.
My first MP3 player was a Rio. It was a Rio MP3, and it held about 30 songs. And
nice.
Yeah, it was the future. That was before iPods even existed.
I went straight from CD player to iPod 2, I think. So, yep.
I had a software on my computer called Music Match, and I would rip all my CDs to MP3 and then put them on this little Rio player or whatever back in the day.
I felt so bad for my computer back in the day. I think the statute of limitations on this is done, but LimeWire back in the day, that's how I got all my music. And knowing what I know now, I feel so bad for what I probably did to that computer.
Napster was the big one, right? Like Napster was the one that started it.
I was never on the Napster train, really. I was straight to LimeWire because growing up, in this area, I was not technologically savvy. I didn't have a computer until I was in high school.
Yeah.
Because my family's like, oh, you just go to the library. That's what I did.
Is that what your family sounds like?
That's uncanny representation of what my dad sounds like. Andrew, I love you so much.
But at least he threw like a ball of energy with you, every once in a while, right?
No, my dad worked nights, so he slept during the day.
Aww.
Yeah. Maybe that's why I'm so bitter towards that scene. It's so dumb. Nobody has fun playing catch with their dad, right?
That's right. Have the same feelings of Field of Dreams.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's see. Anything else?
That's how you do a catch scene with your dad. Field of Dreams. That's how you do
That's a little bit of a different movie, Andrew. It's not exactly the same feel.
I don't know. I get a lot of homages and
basically a sequel.
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else that I want to mention. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to bring up?
No, not really. I mean, it's funny. I think anybody listening to me is going to say, "Oh, you really love this movie," but in the end, that the structure of it really took it down.
Sure.
Quite a bit for me. I mean, even though I'd say I'm very entertained, and I think that most people are going to like it, and I don't have any problem if you do like it. I just felt like, man, it's 2 hours and 16 minutes long. I feel like there could have been some, they could have condensed this a little bit more, and I would have been really on board with it. But we keep coming up with great scenes here and there, and I'm like, maybe I'll just turn around and really love this by the time, in a year or so when I watch it again. I just think they could have done something with the structure, and I would have been perfectly fine. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'll forgive a lot of the stuff that I didn't like, in the future.
Well, I can tell you this: it's definitely a movie I'm excited to see again. Like, I really can't wait to watch it again and to laugh again at some of the lines I've forgotten already, and to see some of those action scenes on the screen again. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to a second viewing.
Maybe it's because the first movie came out of nowhere and surprised me so much on how good it was that maybe I was just upset that they didn't capture that magic once again, because I was like, oh, it's a sequel. I wanted it to be, oh, it's twice as good as the original one, but maybe that was me putting too much hope and pressure on them to make a perfect movie.
Yeah.
So that might be why. I might be with you guys and I'll come around like, you know what? Because like I said, it's a super fun movie. I had a lot of fun. But did I like it as much as you guys? I don't think so.
It's certainly not. What was it, Split, that you didn't like, and then by the end of the podcast you absolutely loved?
Yeah, Split's right now actually right above Guardians of the Galaxy. It's Guardians right now on my Films of the Year is number 7 and Split is number 6.
But we've all had that experience where we see a movie through somebody else's eyes and we start to realize, that we liked it more than we thought, or didn't like it more than we thought, or whatever.
Well, with Split in particular, just real quick, is because you explained some stuff that made the movie make a lot more sense.
Kind of blew your mind a little bit.
Yeah, like the whole train thing blew me out of the water. Yeah, and that was insane. So,
well, I think that's it then, guys. Unless you've got something else, Chris, thank you so much again for hanging out with us and chatting movies.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And we'll be back next week to talk spoilers about King Arthur if we need to.
Yeah. Okay.
Spoiler alert. Andrew is not excited for this movie. Not excited for this movie.